I told Mr. Bajaj, we are the largest shareholder collectively of your company. He could not believe. But let me admit that I have taken that business risk. Because ultimately क्या होता है जब चलता है ना तो everyone wants to board the same train.
Slowly, RBI is definitely tightening its regulation.
They must force NBFC to convert them into a bank. And another mistake, what generally investors they do, in case you want to invest in NBFC, there are 2-3 companies like.
But now India is moving towards a more investor economy. So the money is going towards.
Some NBFC is giving 9.5%. How they can give you? They are taking risk on your behalf. So they are restoring to anything and everything.
So what are the key ratios that somebody should look at when they are analyzing NBFCs?
If you really want to make money in NBFC.
Welcome to the podcast series, Break It Down with Dhanuka Sir. Dhanuka Sir is the founder of the Millennium Mams organization. Millennium Mams is an NGO which empowers women with financial literacy. He is also a very successful investor and a passionate teacher. This episode is about banking beyond banks, where we break down the NBFC sector. Wow, sir, you're really glowing today. I think I know the reason.
Why?
Haven't you struck gold with Bajaj Finance?
It's an old story, now I have to find another Bajaj Finance. But frankly speaking, Arpita, how I could locate this company?
Yeah.
One is that I think 5 or 7 years back, when the prices was around 200 rupees, I took a call that ultimately it belongs to a solid group, that is Bajaj. So that 50% job is done.
Right.
Second was the business. So they were into finance. I thought that if India has to grow, that India has to grow in financial system.
Yes.
One that was managed by bank, and other than bank, non-banking financial companies, they have to grow. But that much risk I took. कि business risk तो है. Then one of my students, he asked me, that's why not HDFC?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that let her invest in HDFC. I will invest in Bajaj Finance, and she's repenting. She's repenting because HDFC at that time was a developed company, and Bajaj Finance was a developing company.
So more room to grow.
Yes, and if you are right in a developing company, then you make tons of money. But let me admit that I have taken that business risk. Okay, by chance, if they fail in the business, the price is also attractive. Price at that time was very attractive. And with God's grace, me and my Millennium Mams, they made tons of money. I must share one instance. 30 of us went to attend the AGM of Bajaj Finance.
Okay.
And Mr. late Rahul Bajaj, he was chairing the meeting. Then I thought that इनको बताई दें. Then I told Mr. Bajaj that we are the largest shareholder collectively of your company. He could not believe. Then he looked at his son, Sanjeev. Then Sanjeev said, yes. So it was the biggest success story in my life and in the life of generally
That's
my
amazing.
students.
Absolutely amazing, sir.
Hmm?
So tell us, how are these non-banking financial companies different from our traditional banks?
Like, first of all, you should understand that non-banking finance company, NBFC, they can't do certain activities, like they cannot open the branch, they cannot take deposit the banks they do, they cannot maintain that current account, savings account, etc. And the worst thing is, banks are guided and regulated by RBI in a big way. अभी तक NBFC में RBI का regulation are not that harsh. So NBFC, they have got all the freedom to do whatever they want to do, but banks doesn't have the freedom.
Yes.
Now, ultimately, I was wondering why NBFC? The banks are also doing the car financing.
Yeah.
Banks are doing everything what NBFC is doing, but it's a specialized job. So, in my opinion, and you will not believe that banks are lending to NBFC, and NBFC is giving
And
money
lending
to
to
us, huh, which could have been done directly by the bank, but no. This is a specialized job, and this will continue. If you take that worldwide, what is happening? NBFC, they are thriving, and banks are also thriving. But ultimately, the problem with NBFC is, I remember one of the senior person in Bajaj Finance, he mentioned that we are in the business of not lending money. We are in the business of risk. And that continues.
Yes.
That continues. So ultimately, if you want to select another NBFC, then you have to be clear that it must be managed by the big groups.
Okay.
Otherwise, they cannot sustain big groups, number one. And number two, their business model has to be good. Like, say, some company, I will not name, they finance only for gold.
Okay.
So they're too focused on one area, no? So
Yes.
that is not that good.
So ideally, we should look for an NBFC which has a little more diversification.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And diversification also may not be the right word, because recently one of the NBFC suffered because of some fraud, etc., in the village.
Yes.
So one has to be very, very careful if you want to invest in NBFC.
Okay. Yes, sir. So
You have missed the bus, no?
I have missed the bus, and that is one regret, sir, that I have. So I'm going to look for the next good NBFC to invest in.
Yes.
So, sir, I do realize that NBFCs also increased our financial inclusion. I mean, they are reaching out to weaker sections of the society, right? So that is where they really come in and complement these banks. So it's not that they're racing with the bank, they're racing against the banks. They are actually complementing the banks in some ways, right? So they are building a better
May
financial...
not be the right way of explaining this, but they are not catering to weaker section only. They are catering to everyone. Like a Karopati or Arapati, he is also taking car on EMI.
EMI, yes.
So it is not weaker or this one, but they are fueling the consumption boom. If you withdraw NBFC from the picture, the consumption will go down.
Fall. Yes.
Good and bad both. But say, I always believe, Arpita, a person who is earning 1 lakh rupees per month and wants to buy a car, he cannot buy unless until he takes car on EMI. So that means what? Why he should postpone his happiness for 5 to 7 years?
Right.
Anyone who wants to buy a house, same formula applies.
Yes.
So that way it is serving the middle class more than the weaker and rich class.
Right.
And it's a very scientific way of dealing. Only thing, you should not overshoot. You should know that more or less you will be saving every month this much money, and accordingly you should take the EMI and don't overdo, because it is becoming a habit. Marriage on EMI, dental treatment on EMI. So that is going too much, but this is good for NBFC.
Yes, absolutely.
I give an example like Poonawalla FinCorp. They are expert in financing the second-hand car.
Okay.
Now, second-hand car is a big market now. You know, a lower middle class person, he wants to buy second-hand car. There also he is getting finance. It's a very scientific way of looking at this, but one should be careful. As the person said, we are in the business of risk. If something drastically wrong happens to the economy, then it will be a big risk. Because ultimately what NBFC is doing, they are borrowing money and lending. That is their business.
Yes.
Banks are also doing that.
Yes.
But there is a difference. They are borrowing money. Maybe they are borrowing for short term. And they are lending for short to middle term. Like say, if your EMI is for 10 years, so they are borrowing for 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah.
The short-term borrowing versus long-term lending, that becomes a big risk. So they know how to mitigate this risk. Another thing what you should keep in mind is like Bajaj Finance. If they want to raise 20,000 crore through capital, IPO or whatever, it's very easy because the share price is very high. So their capital will go up in a small way and they can raise big money.
Yes.
This facility is not available with the smaller companies. So you should invest in a company where the company can raise money, big money through capital. And another thing you should keep in mind is borrowing cost. Because borrowing cost is the key, no?
Yes, absolutely.
Say if 1% less is the borrowing cost of Bajaj Finance, they will excel.
Yes.
Because it is not that key margins are huge.
Yeah.
So borrowing cost depends upon the quality of the borrower. We know that AAA rating and all.
Yes, the credit agencies giving ratings. Yes.
The quality of the borrower.
Yes.
And that was, after 3-4 years of investment in Bajaj Finance, then I mentioned in my class that they want to raise capital, they can raise any amount with a small increase in the capital. They want to borrow money through fixed deposit or through commercial paper or from bank. Their borrowing cost will always be low. So in case you want to invest in NBFC, that's why I said that you should choose the bigger one because their borrowing cost will be lower. Their capacity to raise money through capital is very high.
Yes.
And another thing is, I believe that in the matter of finance, the person should be conservative.
Always, yes.
Yes, because ultimately you can borrow more money, you can raise 10, 20, 30,000 rupees. So you are lured to increase your business and side by side you are increasing the risk of also.
Yes, yes.
So the person should be conservative. Bajaj, by nature they are conservative because they did not expand right and left in Bajaj Auto. So you have to consider so many things. No?
Yes.
And another thing you should know that I believe that there are 2-3 companies, they are in the top bracket, like Bajaj Finance definitely, then Tata Capital and 1 or 2 more. But the second tier companies, Poonawalla.
Poonawalla FinCorp.
Poonawalla FinCorp. What they will do, Arpita, they will try to go to tier 1 maybe in the next 10 years.
Yes.
Job is done. And Poonawalla Corp, when we could identify, this company was based in Kolkata.
Okay.
Kolkata. And taken over by this other Poonawalla. So other Poonawalla means what? Floating in liquidity.
Yes.
Floating
Capital
in liquidity.
raise karna to problem hi
So
nahi hai.
money is not a problem, and money is the raw material for NBFC or banks. So that's how you have to calculate. And the best part is, in the segment, there are not 150 companies.
They're very few.
So selection of a company is not that difficult. So keeping everything in mind, I'm very happy that you asked this question, and this will be a great service. Because ultimately क्या होता है जब चलता है ना तो everyone wants to board the same train.
Yes, absolutely. It's a herd mentality.
कोई भी दाम में. But ultimately there has to be a limit. You should try to find. It may be very, very difficult. Another Bajaj Finance in making?
Yes, that is the goal. We will find another Bajaj Finance. And so we also think that given that the Indian GDP is improving, and we think that the credit growth is related to the GDP, right? So the credit grows at a rate of 1.5 times the GDP typically. So that's where we think in India, the credit growth will also improve with the entire system.
100%. If you compare our EMI contribution to the economy versus US. There is no comparison. So now India will become third largest economy. So the number will change, no?
So right now, I think it's 40% to 50% credit to GDP ratio for India, whereas in the US, it's more than 120, 130%.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
definitely we have a lot of room to grow.
US runs only on EMI. So ultimately, that is percolating to India, and that will continue to happen and grow in India also.
Yes, and
Now,
our demographic dividend, sir, the young aspirational youth that we have.
Exactly. Earlier, I was not that much in favor of buying through EMI. But now I've changed my mind. Why not?
Yes.
If I know that I'm earning 1 lakh rupees per month, so I can plan. I've got a big degree and I know that my service more or less is assured. So why to suffer? Otherwise, पहले क्या होता था ना कि 20 साल बाद फ्लैट ले रहे हैं, तब तक तो age has gone. So that facility now is available. Everyone can buy everything. Like the main, growth of two-wheeler. A small-time Pandit, he's riding the two-wheeler.
Yes, yes.
Because 3,000 रुपया महीना देना पड़ता है, and that 3,000 रुपया तो कहीं से
it's become
कमा
so
ले.
much affordable.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
So that is a big, as you said, that poor people now, they are also getting this huge facility, and they can increase their earning by taking something on EMI, and they are using that facility to earn more money. And that's how the things are happening.
Yes. But so there are also limitations that NBFCs are facing right now, right? In terms of liquidity in the market. Because traditionally, India has been like a savers economy, where we used to always put money in FDs, we used to put money in deposits. But now India is moving towards a more investor economy. So the money is going towards real estate, it's going towards mutual funds, stocks, capital markets. And that is affecting the liquidity in the system. So there is a little bit of a challenge that I think
That
NBFCs
challenge
and banks.
definitely is a very big challenge, particularly for banking sector.
Yeah.
But for companies like maybe Bajaj Finance or Poonawalla or Tata Capital, वगैरह, they will not have that problem because they will raise capital, as I said. Then they are getting money through fixed deposit from the public. So they will not face that much of crunch as faced by the bank. And again, when banks are facing crunch, the NBFC can do a more volume.
Yes,
so
yes.
that sometimes becomes a
positive for them.
disguise.
It's a blessing in disguise. Yes, yes, absolutely. So tell us, sir, what are the key ratios that somebody should look at when they are analyzing NBFCs? Is there like a net interest margin is something that I've heard of. Is that an
First
important...
of all, please join Millennium Mams.
Okay.
That is the starting point. But say there are so many ratios. One is expenditure versus the volume.
Okay.
Like say one company is spending say 4%. Another company is spending 5%. So they cannot compete. No? That 1% is a big number. How that can be reduced or how that is being reduced is through technology.
Okay.
Now, to update or to create new technology, you have to spend a lot of money. And there also, this big NBFC, they will excel.
Okay.
I think 95% of the this lending is done through technology.
Technology. Yes, I in fact recently saw that, a lot of their customers are also coming in through WhatsApp channels and various other social media channels. So a lot of awareness is being raised through technology, like you said. So.
And credit rating for us, that is available free of cost. So that is helping NBFC in a big way. Otherwise, how can they sanction within 5 minutes loan to buy a television or a car because of that credit rating? So many things are happening. And NBFC, I believe that they have to be very, very creative. They have to find new avenues whereby they can increase their volume. Because there will be a huge competition. In rural India, lending is difficult. Lending, collecting money back, that is difficult. But ultimately, they have to find the new avenues. Like say, for traveling, I don't know whether it is available at present or not, but you will get the EMI. For marriage, you will get the EMI. Anything and everything. the person should get the money. Okay. There, if a NBFC is very, very creative, they will make good money.
Good money.
Because the loan against property, that is risky. Although NBFC, they are giving loan against share, loan against IPO.
That is very risky.
Loan
Yes,
against
absolutely.
IPO. So they are restoring to anything and everything. But they should be careful, because when you grow in volume, your risk becomes higher and higher. There, if you can manage your risk well, then you can contribute a lot to the shareholders.
So one of the things to look at would also be the non-performing asset percentage, right, for an NBFC. Whether it's too high, because if it's too high, then it's definitely not one to select, because they would be running against.
And there is a signal that future is not that bright.
Okay.
Because ultimately, why it should be too high? You are not doing things rightly, na? Otherwise, why it should be too high?
Right.
So there is signal that your this lending business need to improve. Because in lending, Arpita, what is happening? I can get money at 24% per annum. You can get money at 10% per annum. So 24% per annum, if I borrow, then I have to earn over and above 24%.
Yes.
So then what I will do? I will take bigger risk. And bigger risk means ultimately the person who is lending money, he is taking the risk. This is the bottom line.
Yes,
He is taking the risk,
absolutely.
not me.
Yes.
So this is how technology will help them to find out which is the new area they can develop. And particularly after the introduction of AI, I think bigger NBFC, their business will grow like anything.
Okay. So AI will become a big enabler for them. Yes.
And the only requirement is they should afford. Like say this Bajaj Finance, Poonawala FinCorp, they have got a huge office, less staff, and running on technology only. Yeah. But for technology, you have to spend a lot of money, and for maintaining that technology,
also you have to spend.
You have to spend.
Yes.
So ultimately, don't run after the trend.
Okay.
That is the problem.
That is the bottom line. Yes.
Everyone wanted to invest in Bajaj Finance. Now maybe Poonawala. Take your own call. And like Tata Capital, they will be coming out with IPO soon. So one can think of whether I should invest in this company or that company. Right. But एक बात पक्की है कि NBFC, in my opinion, has a great future. If India has to grow, there is no if. We are moving towards $5 trillion economy. So there is no if.
It's more like as India grows.
Exactly. So then our Prime Minister is talking about, I don't remember how much, 25 trillion or whatever, by 2047. So in this growth story, NBFC will participate in a big way, may not be bank, because NBFC are focused. They have to borrow at a lesser interest rate, then they have to spend less money on running the business, and they have to lend cautiously. This is what NBFC का business.
Perfectly, sir. आपने इतना beautifully like 2 sentences में explain कर दिया. It's perfect.
You don't need to go to any wealth manager.
हाँ, sir.
If you want to invest at your own risk, don't blame me. But ultimately, this is the story, and one should continuously read the management discussion of a company or of the sector. Like say if you want to invest in NBFC, so read the management discussion of 2, 3, 4 companies. You will get the hint that this is not the right thing. And another, I think, mistake, what generally investors they do, they mix up things. Some NBFC is giving 9.5%. How they can give here? They are taking risk on your behalf.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they're borrowing only at a higher price. Yes.
If your banks are giving 7 and anyone who's giving 8.5, the risk becomes higher. And 9.5, and that is their selling point through the ad. 9.5% मिल रहा आपको. So you should be very, very careful. So ultimately, this business looks very easy. It is not. It is not, because you have to be very, very careful or not that greedy also. As I said now, कि Bajaj Finance, if they want to raise 50,000 crore, it is available. So 50,000 crore ka raw material is available. So why they will not have a finished product?
Yeah.
Simple. Na? You have to learn to control the greed in any business related to finance.
Yes. And so, even like, what do you think of RBI regulations in this sector? Because slowly RBI is definitely tightening its regulations, like especially with unsecured lending. We saw that they have increased the risk weight on unsecured lending. So is that a good thing that RBI is tightening regulations?
For the country, it is very good. Because ultimately, you can't give a free, play to everyone. Na? Ki you want to grow, you can grow in any sector. No. So for that also, the smaller NBFC are the worst sufferer. And RBI ultimately should or will allow the bigger NBFC to become a bank.
Okay.
They must, or not allow, they must force NBFC, I'm talking about bigger NBFC, to convert them into a bank. Otherwise, तो आप सोचो ना, like market cap of Bajaj Finance.
Yes, it's huge.
There's a bigger than so many banks.
So many banks, yes.
So there has to be some drastic change happening. Like say, another area where some companies are focused, like Poonawalla FinCorp. I'm not recommending. बार-बार example के लिए बोल रहे हैं. They had a Poonawalla Housing Corporation Limited.
Okay.
They sold it.
Yes.
That is not my strong area. They sold it. So that courage you should have.
And that focus. That we don't want to get into housing. We want to do this.
Yeah, I don't want to make money in everything. That is not my focus. Because housing finance is a totally different business. Gold का finance is a totally different business. तो सब चीज में आप जाओगे तो हमको तो लगता है फिर गड़बड़ है. वो that patience, that non-greediness. And I too believe that if you really want to make money in NBFC, study NBFCs abroad.
Okay.
Yes. What big
happened?
NBFCs in US they are doing, that will replicate in India. I don't have a doubt. That will replicate. But in India, our regulator is much stricter than US. Okay. So that will be an advantage. Yes. You're getting a point?
Yes.
And NBFC, I believe that they will include in their portfolio now so many things. Because anything related to finance, that should be in their portfolio. Right. Only lending may be the main focus, but other services also they will include. So there is a great future, but always look at the risk involved.
Definitely. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for because this will help, I think, many investors who are becoming pagal about NBFCs.
NBFCs.